I'm trying to find where I belong. I asked the Lord what I do wrong. He said you better choose what side you on. What side you on? What side you on, man? What side you on?
Welcome to the End Result. I am Pastor Lynn Rollins with my husband, Pastor Kevin Rollins, and thank you for joining us again for another wonderful, exciting interview. Today, I have the extreme honor to sit down with Leslie S. Franklin, Shaka.
Yeah, Shaka Franklin
Shaka
Foundation.
Franklin Foundation for Youth, amen?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like you to just take a moment. Your extensive bio, we don't have enough time. We would have to do probably 5 or 6 interviews to pull out of this man everything that he's contributed to the city, the nation, and our communities. And we have the wonderful opportunity to sit down with you today. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Franklin. His beautiful wife, Mary Ann, is here, but we're praying for her voice. She lost her voice, and so we're here in his beautiful home. So would you please just take the time to introduce yourself and welcome again.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and it's a great opportunity always to talk a little bit about what we do and let people know that we're still around, still alive. I think most people know that know us well, that we do an annual luncheon, which is the May 8th here in Denver. And through that luncheon, we are able to raise money, and we're able to help a lot of children, a lot of families, but we're also able to create college funds. So my wife is she's the heart and soul of the organization. She does the heavy lifting. She's working every day until the evenings because there's no staff. We can't afford staff, and when you have to pay staff, that means that's money that won't go to some child. Yes. So we're excited to be a part of this expression to the community, and thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to tell a little bit about our story.
Okay, thank you. I just want to touch on a few things that you formerly were the state director in 91-96 of the Colorado Government Job Training Office. You've been on national TV and recognized on radio, NBC special Images Realities with Lou Gossett Jr. I mean, like I say, there's so much that I can't touch on it all. But my first question would be, out of all of your career highlights, what has been your moment of fulfilling Les Franklin's purpose?
Well, I think the thing that I'm most excited about in my life is that I always wanted to go to Africa, and I've been blessed to have an opportunity to go 4 or 5 times, and my wife and I went over there with a small delegation. And we had a chance to feed children in a little community called Mahalasburg. And so we bought a lot of food. We spent all the money we had taken out to this school. So going to Africa was to me, it's the homeland. And that was the greatest part. And then having a chance to meet Winnie Mandela and her daughter, Zinzi Mandela. Yes. And Zinzi is who introduced us to her mom. And so that's, and especially since now Winnie's no longer alive. So, things are, it's all about time. And so I would encourage everybody to do the things that you dream about doing, save hard and go do that. But beyond that, it's the things that we've had to do to talk about the things that are bothering children. And this year, I'm going to really hammer at our luncheon on May 8th about the largest crime that's being committed in this country, and nobody talks about it. It's a greater crime than all of the robberies and burglaries and all the other kinds of things that happen in this country that we call crime. You can put them all together, and they don't add up to the crime that's committed against children, and that's incest. It's the hidden crime. And everybody's got a smartphone. All they got to do is ask their smartphone about incest, and there'll be an article that'll pop up about 2013, the Atlantic Journal, And that's the only document that I've seen that expresses or puts out the information about what goes on with children. And so, you know, I've had people tell me things, and I've never revealed them. I'm putting together my own book, and I'm going to reveal a lot in my own book. But I had a nurse in southern Colorado, and I was with Roy Romer and a whole delegation of about 65 people. And a nurse walked up to me, and I don't know why she picked me out, but she told me, Mr. Franklin, you wouldn't believe how many of these farmers are having sex with their daughters. And then a second time, I was with, and we were on a tour when he first got elected. We were in Grand Junction, and there was a small hospital in Grand Junction that we walked in there, and you could just smell it. And there were babies that were a year old, 2 years old, and on cribs, and they were all incest babies being hidden away on the western slopes. I saw it, I smelled it, I looked at the governor, he looked at me, and out of that group of people that were there, not one person ever mentioned that that situation had occurred. Wow. And then I was at Douglas County High School in Castle Rock speaking, which I'd given many, many speeches. And a young girl told me, she says, Mr. Franklin, my brother raped me. She raised both of her arms up. She had tried to commit suicide and had taken razor blade and slit underneath her arms. She held her arms up and she said, my brother raped me. I told my mother, and my mother just said, you ought to be lucky, he loves you so. And then sent her brother off to Arizona. And I said, you know, these things have occurred, and there's more. Yes. I mean, I know people in the black religious community, a lady that's high up in the community who's a doctor in the religious community, in our community, who told me that her father had raped her. And then she told her mother, and her mother did nothing. Then he raped her daughter, and she told her mother, okay, if you don't do something this time, it's all over for you. And then I had a young man here, a black man, a young man working on my televisions. And I was telling him what I'm telling you right now. And I told him all about incest. And he says, Mr. Franklin, I know my father raped my sister. And so it's all over. It's in every community, and it's in some countries it's allowed, but it's certainly not allowed in this country, not supposedly, and should be a crime. And so I'm on that kick, if you will, to get that message out there. If I can do it until my last breath comes to me, we have to stop harming children, because we're in the business of doing suicide prevention. And if family members are raping and doing mean things like that to their own children, we're never going to be able to turn the issue of suicide around, because many of these kids are killing themselves because of what they encounter in their own homes. You know, and
let me ask you this: what has been, how many people has your foundation been able to serve, and that you'd like to share?
Well, we're probably well over 10,000 now. In 30 years, you know, we're well over that. We don't name people because we have, as an example, we had a mother, and this was a black mother, who lost her job. It was a very good job. She lost her home as a result of losing her job. I coached hockey, and I knew her son, and her son was a black hockey player, and they were living in a motel. And so when she finally got another job, she could pay the rent in an apartment that she got, and her son was acting out. He was really upset because he and his mother staying in a motel. She came to us and asked for help. And this is not something we do often, and we rarely get these kind of requests, but she asked us if we could help, and we just said yes, and we paid her deposit and her first month's rent. And then she was able to pay her monthly rent. So it's things like that we've done. We had another situation, a young girl going to Spelman College, and she needed money to buy books. Yeah, it was probably $1,000, it wasn't a lot of money, and we were able to buy books for her. But we have a scholarship set up at the University of Denver. There's a $100,000 scholarship that's there. We have money at CU and CSU, not a lot at this point, but all of our assets that we have will, once I pass away, my wife passed away, they'll be liquidated, and those assets will go to fulfill our plan to put a $1.5 million scholarship at the University of Colorado, Denver.
Awesome.
And yes, and we have helped a number of students at Metro, and at CU Denver, and at other places. We're doing a $25,000 scholarship that I'm personally going to do it in my mother's name at UNC, and I put $5,000 a year into that.
You are such a tremendous, if I may interject, such a tremendous servant. You have the servant's heart.
Well, you know, I was raised by my grandmother. And my grandmother, me and her slept in the same room until I was about 10 years old. And her name was Mattie Braggs. And she read the Bible every single day. And there was times she read to me and I said, oh, Mama, call her Big Mama, oh, Mama, Mama, Mama. But I loved her to pieces. She talked about common sense. And one of the things she said to me, he says, now, Sonny boy, she called me Sonny boy, don't you go to college now. And she was there when I graduated from University of Northern Colorado, and I was then commissioned into the Air Force. And she said, don't you go to college and be an educated fool. She said,
there's a lot of them out there, you know.
That's exactly right. Those are her words. And I always remembered that. That when I went to college, I wanted to, you know, make her proud and make my mother proud. You know, my mother was a good woman, and she had it tough, you know, and she had me when she was 17. And I told you I'd tell you anything you ask me, and you didn't ask me that. But I'm telling it all in the book. I did things that I'm not proud of as a kid, even as a young college student. I stole my books for a year.
And now you're purchasing books.
Yeah, well, I'm paying it back. I already made sure I've already paid that back and then some.
And then some.
And they got in fact, they got a black organization up there that has a building, and I've got a room that's named after me. But that's before I'm in my college's Hall of Fame. And so I'm glad I got there before they found out about the book story, though. But I'm paying it back, and I'm paying it back, you know, 1,000+ fold.
Oh, you have.
And I'm going to do that and keep doing that because, you know, I did things I wished I hadn't done, you know, and I'm not proud of that. But I want kids to know that I'm fortunate I didn't get caught because I got kicked out of school, you know. But I want young people to know, don't take those risks.
No.
Don't take those risks. And a lot of these schools now, they've got things set up where it's a lot more difficult to do that. They don't have books just sitting out where you can walk around and pick them up. You got to get them from somebody sitting behind a counter, which is a good thing because we might lose other people. But, you know, kids go to school and they're poor, they don't have the money. I actually had the money. I could have, but I wanted my money to just put gas in my car and go over to see you and party.
You know? Let me ask you this, if I may, because I respect your time. Let's shift to your foundation. Why did you start the foundation? Tell us about your sons and what you want to share.
We started it, you know, because of Shaka, you know, and that's why it's named Shaka Franklin Foundation. But it was started within the first week. And it was probably nobody, I knew no one would say no when I asked them to be on the board, which I did, and they all said yes. And we were back in right back in my little office now, and talking to the guys, and they all were saying, yeah, we'll do it. And I think I have Dr. Ken Critchlow, who's been on the board from day one, and Odell Berry, who's also on my national board, Mayor Webb, and I'd say ex-Mayor Berry. They're both on my national board, and I don't have all the names and everything in front of me. And at my age now, I don't remember things like I used to. Tremendous
support. So how
but I started it, you know, I started because of, I didn't know, I learned within a week or two that the suicide rate in Colorado is horrible, and that we lose a kid, more than a child a week now, to suicide. And when I learned that, I was very angry. I said, why isn't this information out to the public? So our first challenge was to inform and educate. That's what we wanted to do. So all of the data that we put together was to inform people and educate them about the problem of suicide in this state. And so that's why we created the foundation. And Shaka was a terrific kid. Both of my kids, because at the time I was single, as a single parent. Within the same week of Shaka dying, another little boy over right off of Monaco. I forget the street, but it said Northeast Denver. He was a 7, 8-year-old kid killed himself. He might have been 9, but he wasn't over 9. And I remember walking with the father and talking to him about the loss of his son. And we lose, most people, a lot of people may not know it, but I know that's not a secret. Wilma Webb lost a son to suicide.
So how do we help children feel whole, be able to live and live successful lives? How do we do that?
Well, I think we need to do more for children. I mean, I look at this political campaign that's going on now, and we're spending, the Americans are spending billions of dollars on people to get elected for an office, two spots that they'll fill.
Lots of money.
And you see that. And so we need to make a greater investment in our children. Our Parks and Recs people, here I am trying to get an ice rink together in Denver so that Denver kids can be a part of it. The suburban kids got them. They're all over the suburbs. And the guy that worked for me, he's got 2 down there in Monument. And he's looking at doing many other things in Monument.
Who are the we? Who are the we?
The we are the black people. I get angry about this. So I'm going to try to not be so passionate.
No.
And I'm going to say things that some people may not like. But I ask people, show me one 10-story building anywhere in America that black people have put together and done. You know, I call our stockbroker for the foundation, and I ask her, I says, who owns all of these buildings? And she told me about these national real estate companies own 1,700 buildings. They own them all over the world.
And never invest in the community.
And never invest in the community. But black people have to find a way to do our own thing.
Yes.
You know, we help build this country. We need to get together and build something for ourselves.
Exactly.
And we haven't done that. And I'm very angry that we got black billionaires.
Yes.
They don't know they don't understand the concept of coming together and forming corporations, unified corporations. 2 billionaires get together, or guys that have millions of dollars get together. I see athletes doing this and that, and they're helping kids in their own way. Many athletes are doing a great job of doing that. And they've learned the concept of creating nonprofits because they're trying to shelter their income. And they hire their family members. You know, I understand that. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for any of that. And they help a lot of kids in a lot of schools, just like, you know, we do here with the kids. But we don't, if I had the resources, I'd be doing some major things, building buildings that all of our people could come together and have offices. Why spend rent and give it away to communities that can't even stand us?
I want you to look in that camera.
Yeah, they can't stand
and you
us.
tell them what you need to do the things that are important.
We need those people that have the resources, that are the millionaires, the multimillionaires, and the billionaires that are black, to form corporations. If we could come by and make unified organizations and start to control our own communities in total. Not losing things like the gentrification is going on now all over America. Black people are the last to sit back and watch their communities just be destroyed, picked apart, pulled apart. And we have nothing to show our young people that we've done because it's gone. Where's the history and the 5 Points area right here in Denver? I mean, it's leaving us. And who's going to document that? Who's going to say that here's where we had this person or that person, and these people are able to do the kinds of things for the community? Where are the great foundations in our communities that we can go to? You know, I get tired of seeing our organization has to go big, and the people that help us, the people that give us, they're white. You know, the vast majority are white, and it's coming from white institutions. And we're thankful for that, and we appreciate that, but it shouldn't have to be that way.
Yes.
And if I had a chance to have the kind of resource that we need to have, I would make sure that some of those resources would be directed toward a community that's trying to help itself, build itself. You know, there's so many things that are going on in this country that black people sit back and don't pay attention to. I walked into a meeting right there, 17th in California, before they built the convention center and all the things that we see downtown. There's a room full of about 25 white males, elderly white males. There's one seat that was open. I thought that was a seat for me. I had shown up to me, and I thought I was late. I walked right to the front and sat down into that seat. And it was like E.F. Hutton commercial. They got quiet, no one said anything, and finally, The guy is sitting at the front of the table says, "We, quote, unquote, we think you're in the wrong room." And I said, "How would we know that?" You know, and he knew I was the only black person in the room, and that's how we knew. And so we have to, and then they sent me over to another, said, "We think you belong in your meeting's in the next room." I went in there, and there was a little white girl, a little cute white girl, and one little black guy sitting in there who was an Uncle Tom guy that they brought in from Chicago. And the same guy had sent me to meet with at the Eggshell in Cherry Creek several weeks before. And I got up and walked out. Now, I don't know why they thought I would sit there with these people when the real data was and discussions that was talking about how Denver was going to be changed was over in the room with all the white guys at the big conference table. So, you know, we're out of the loop. We're completely out of the loop. And so we got to stop begging and asking to be a part of someone else's loop, and we got to create our own loop. We got to create our own communities, our own businesses, and we need to go back to the day when we had, like we did in I think it was Oklahoma, you know, and when white folks massacred everybody there and killed them and destroyed all that. We need to make sure our young people know about that too. That ain't going to happen now. That's not going to happen now, because I remember going to the Million Man March. And I saw 1 million brothers there, and more than 1 million that were there. And I tell you, I never seen anything like it in my life. And I never seen the kind of the kind of discussions that went on before we went to that march. And those brothers were serious. And I know that there'll never be a way that anyone in this country is going to take something from black people from where we are today, but we need to build something worth losing, because right now I don't know what we have that's worth losing.
Thank you. So with that, I thank you for that, because see, people need to hear the truth. People need to be their conscience shaken. I believe in that. I'm a pastor, and I teach the Holy Bible, but I teach it where it's real, because so many people, I think, get caught up in just searching after what their power is or what they want, and forget about how they got there and who supported them. And I'm glad that you're making a strong statement. As a black people, we can't continue to say, "Well, ain't nobody ever helped me." Well, you know, are you mad?
I'm very angry. I'm very, very angry. I'll probably go to my grave being angry, because I've you know, at this stage in my life, I've seen so much. And I've seen in other countries where people of color, black people, have been able to, to do everything, build, and I saw them doing it. And especially when I was in South Africa, I saw how these black men were making a difference and making a change, and how things were going to be in their country. But I've been in a lot of countries, and I've seen a lot of people of different persuasions. And America is not the only place that can build huge towers. And it's not only people that are Anglos that build these towers. I mean, people are building things in the Middle East and other places. You know, we built the pyramids, the White House, exactly, and a lot of inventions that are being used today, like the stoplight, and many other things, and the layout of Washington, D.C. By black people. You know, and we need to read more about ourselves and know that we can accomplish things and do things, and make sure that our children are well informed about the talent that we have in our communities and the ability and our abilities to get things done. But we gotta stop blaming white people for not taking care of us. We need to learn to take care of ourselves.
They're asking me for the end result. What's the end result?
The end result is, I think we'll see things change, and we'll get the respect that we deserve. And you only get respect when you create a situation where you deserve the respect. And right now, I don't know that we deserve any respect. You know, we're basically a joke to a lot of folks. And we wouldn't have the kind of person we got in the White House right now if we were doing the things that we needed to be doing. They never would have got there. You know, and we got to stop always just saying the Democrats too, because both political parties are basically about power. who's going to control the power, the left or the right. And everybody in the same body. It's the left hand, my left hand, or my right hand. But it's the body's still the same. And that body, excuse me, that body is right now it's the majority community, and it's the white male, mostly the dominant white male. They care about themselves, and you see that with older white men. And that's why I'm not happy about what I see going on now for who's going to be president. I like to see someone 40 years old, white or green or black, but 40 years old, and some young people in there instead of a bunch of old, pardon the expression, old farts trying to run the country with a whole bunch of old ideas. They're not going to be creative. They're not going to do the things that need to be done to turn this country around. They're just not going to do it. They haven't done it, and they're not going to do it. And if we think they're going to do it, we're making a serious error in judgment.
And our children, which is your passion, your heart, are lost.
They're lost, and that's why they're taking their lives, and they're taking their lives left and right. Right as I sit here now, today, there are 5 young black kids are being buried at the cemetery out at Fairmount Cemetery. I've talked to the guy that buries the children, and he told me, he said, Mr. Franklin, we bury 5 kids a week out there. 5 kids at Fairmount that take their lives. Every week there's at least 5. And we don't hear about it. We don't even know about it. Well, no, we don't want to talk about it because they'll do it. They're doing it now. 90% of the kids in every school that I've ever been in are talking about suicide. And we see it in the media. You know, it's there subtly there all the time. You can see it in all kinds of theatric stuff. And we need to pay attention to what's going on in the lives of those children. And I'll tell you, if we don't, we're doomed. And the country is doomed.
Yes.
And it may, you see, right now they're talking about the air. Well, who's caring about the air? I mean, these kids are going to be the ones that have to, I'll be dead long before the air goes bad. You know, and long before the water, all the water goes bad, I'll be dead. But I care about those children. You know, if I had a child, I do have children that I consider to be my grandchild. And you know, the irony of what I'm saying to you, and I'm not anti anything, because we help all kinds of kids from all kinds of backgrounds, Latino, Anglo, Asian, whoever comes to us need help, we're there for them. And that's how I live my life. I'm not going to live my life as a bigot, but I try to live my life as a way of trying to, you know, make a difference in the lives of all children, and all children are really up against it. One of the #1 things that creates kids taking their lives is divorce. People don't talk about that, but when you got half the country that's getting divorced, it affects children, and people don't think about how it's affecting a child. I know it affected my child, both of my kids, and I know that if I probably would have had the kind of woman I have now as a wife, my sons would be alive today. You know, and it's all about whether you care about your children or you care about yourself. And I've heard too many adults say, well, I got to have a life too, and they got children. Well, once you have children, your life has changed, and you can't go do the things you used to do.
It comes to a point that the end result is we have to remember our children.
That's exactly right.
I thank you for this time. They've told me that I have to close, but I don't want to end the conversation. So I thank you for being with us, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, Shaka
thank you for having
Foundation.
Me. Yeah.
I'm trying to find where I belong. I asked the Lord what I do wrong. He said you better choose what side you on. What side you on? What side you on, man? What side you on? What side you on, man? What side you on? Hey, see, I know what side I'm on, man. What side you on? What side you on? What about